Election day begins in less than an hour, but hundreds of thousands of Western New Yorkers have already made sure their voice is heard. Good evening. Polls open across Western New York and the entire state in a little less than 7 hours.
And you might find the lines to get in are a little shorter than normal this time around. More than 2.5 million people took advantage of the 9 days of early voting in New York State. That's about 48% of the number of New Yorkers who voted in the 2016 presidential election. Almost 168,000 people voted early in Erie County. That is more than a quarter of all registered voters in Erie County, the second highest turnout by percentage of any county in all of New York State.
And these early votes are expected to have a big impact on what we see tomorrow night. Here is an example for you. These are the results of the special election for New York's 27th congressional district. As you can see here, Chris Jacobs beat Nate McMurray by 5 percentage points. However, during our newscast that night, he led by more than 40 points. Now, why is that? It's because early and absentee votes had not yet been counted. Jeff Rusak takes a closer look at the critical role early voting will have just after the polls close.
On election night, you expect results. That's been the norm. But it's 2020. The norm is gone. The norm will most likely be gone for this year's election.
I think expect to wait at all levels.
That sentiment being shared by the Erie County Democratic Commissioner of the Board of Elections.
Candidates are going to have to be very careful about declaring victory tomorrow night. If they are in a close race and there are absentees out there.
In New York, early and election day votes will be tabulated Tuesday night. In Erie County, there's already over 150,000 early votes. What will not be counted on election night? Absentee ballots. Normally, there aren't enough to change an election. That may not be the case this year. 96,000 absentee ballots were distributed in Erie County. To allow time for all of those ballots to travel to the Board of Elections, absentee ballots are not counted for 13 days after the election.
We'll have, basically 100,000 people who we're going to make sure their voice is heard, but it's not going to be for a couple weeks.
We might know some things in some states, and we might know some things in some states that are pivotal. I don't think we're going to know much down ballot in New York for quite some time.
What 7 Eyewitness News can promise you on Tuesday night? Comprehensive coverage of this election. What 7 Eyewitness News cannot promise you is that we will know the winners to all of these races. Jeff Rusak, 7 Eyewitness News.